There comes a time in every introverted empath's life when the darkness no longer feels like an ending. It becomes something sacred, a place where you shed old layers, release what isn't yours, and begin to see yourself with gentler eyes. You have walked through confusion, heartbreak, and quiet loneliness, only to discover a peace you never knew existed. The darkness taught you differently, to trust differently, to listen differently, to love differently. Today, I want to share 9 signs that you've emerged from the darkness, that you've faced your own shadows and come home to your own light. There was a time when your feelings felt too heavy to hold. Sadness, anger, grief, they would arrive without warning and leave you feeling consumed. You tried to silence them, to stay strong, to move on quickly. But in the dark, you learned to sit with them instead. You discovered that your emotions weren't your enemies, they were your guides. Now you let yourself feel deeply without shame or resistance. You no longer apologize for your sensitivity. You understand that your emotions don't make you fragile, they make you whole. And that's when you realized your depth is your power. Empaths often carry the unspoken belief that it's their job to fix pain, to make others feel safe and seen. You used to give until you're empty, thinking love meant self-sacrifice. But through the darkness, you discovered the truth. You can hold space for others without carrying their suffering. You can love without losing yourself. Now you no longer pour from an empty cup. You understand that healing is an inside job, and the best way to help others is to stay rooted in your own light. You've stopped rescuing people from their lessons because you've learned how sacred your own energy truly is. Once, silence made you uneasy. You filled your days with noise, with busyness, with distraction, anything to avoid being alone with your own thoughts. But somewhere in the quiet, something shifted. You started hearing your own voice again. You began to see solitude not as emptiness, but as nourishment. Now your alone time feels like home. You recharge your soul in stillness, find clarity and calm, and recognize that solitude is where your spirit comes alive. You don't chase connection to avoid yourself anymore. You connect with others because you already belong to yourself. When you lived in survival mode, your intuition was easy to doubt. You questioned your instincts, dismissed your feelings, and leaned on others for answers. But through the darkness, you were forced to listen inward. You learned that your intuition speaks in quiet ways, a pull, a knowing, a peace that settles deep in your chest. Now you no longer seek validation from the outside world. You trust what your body tells you. You move at the pace your soul can handle. Your inner voice has become your compass, and you finally trust where it leads you. There was a time when saying no filled you with guilt. You feared disappointing others, being misunderstood, or seeming unkind. But the darkness taught you the cost of saying yes when your heart meant no. Now boundaries feel like self-love in action. You no longer explain or defend your limits. You simply live by them. You've learned that peace isn't found by pleasing everyone. It's found in protecting your own energy. And what's beautiful is that you've learned to do it with grace, firm but kind, compassionate but clear. Your peace is sacred now, and you treat it that way. Once you needed answers. You wanted to understand why people hurt you, why things ended, why life unfolded the way it did. But as you healed, you realized closure doesn't always come from others. Sometimes it's born from your own acceptance. You've learned to stop chasing what's gone and start trusting what's meant for you. You no longer need to explain yourself to be understood. You've made peace with the silence. And you've learned that clarity often arrives when you stop demanding it, when you simply allow life to reveal itself in time. There's a softness now when you think about who you used to be. You no longer hold shame for the ways you coped, the things you tolerated, or the love that you gave that wasn't returned. You no longer feel guilty for the things you did when you're trying to survive. You see now that your past self wasn't broken. It was learning. You forgive. You thank yourself for surviving what you didn't know how to heal. And in that forgiveness, you reclaim all the parts of you that once were abandoned. You become the safe space you always needed. Perhaps the clearest sign of all, you no longer crave the chaos you once called normal. You protect your peace like it's oxygen. You move slowly, intentionally. You choose relationships that feel like rest, not resistance. You spend time in spaces that feed your nervous system with calm, not anxiety. There's a quiet joy that fills your life now, not from perfection, but from presence. You've realized peace isn't the absence of pain, it's the strength to stay centered through it all. And that calm you carry, that's the gift the darkness gave you. After walking through the dark, joy can feel unfamiliar, even unsafe at first. You might have even forgotten what it felt like to laugh without fear, to dream without doubt, to simply feel light again. But as healing deepened, joy started finding its way back in. You no longer wait for everything to be perfect before allowing happiness to touch you. You let joy coexist with the scars, the memories, the lessons. You've learned that joy isn't something you earn, it's something you allow. And now you finally let it in. When an introverted empath emerges from the darkness, they don't come out untouched. They come out transformed. Their heart becomes gentler, their energy wiser, their love more intentional. You've learned that peace doesn't mean life is perfect. It means you trust yourself now, even when it isn't. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Quiet Minds Podcast. If these words resonated with you, let me know in the comments, and feel free to share it with someone who might need to hear it too. As always, stay true to who you are in your beautiful heart of hearts.